Why did Conor McGregor gas out so fast in his fights, and how can you make sure that it won't happen to you? In this video, I will break down Conor McGregor's strength and conditioning regime and teach you how to build an infinite gas tank. Even though genetics could clearly play a role here, it would be too simple of a conclusion considering some of the things that Conor McGregor has shared in a number of interviews. Now, I've never worked with Conor and I wasn't there during his training camps, but I was honestly shocked about some of his training practices considering his global status as arguably the biggest name in MMA, as well as the money going into his training camps. I would have called this a strength and conditioning routine, but apparently Conor McGregor is not a fan of routines, which leads to a number of problems. But let's hear it from the man himself. I'm not a fan of routine. The sport is about instinct, movement, balance, power. It's too animalistic to get rigid about your training. I don't use machines. Animals don't use machines. Machines don't use machines. Training to me isn't about a set time at the gym. I move at all times of the day and night. Well, there are a couple of things to unravel here. In order to recover and perform well throughout a camp and to peak for a fight, it's crucial that a fighter periodizes and tapers their training. This means planning your training schedule ahead of time. It involves varying the training volume and intensity throughout the camp. For example, this includes deload weeks and tapering down the volume as you approach the event. These methods prevent overtraining and lead to peak performance on fight day. Conor's inconsistent training schedule and a lack of routine would have made it a tough task to periodize. He could have been overtrained, or he might have left some crucial gains on the table, which seems more likely considering the following statements. McGregor mentions that he prefers constant, light to medium, intelligent training. I feel like MMA became about lifting weights and training heavy and sparring heavy rounds. I was not interested in that. It's the brain that makes the body move right and left, so you must nurture that. It's important to establish that technical training will always be the biggest contributor to becoming a successful fighter. However, in some of Conor's fights, he reached a level of fatigue that his brain or skill could not overcome. Proper strength and conditioning will enable a fighter to express their skill throughout the entire length of a fight. McGregor's head trainer, John Kavanagh, says this about Conor's training. The training we do is light to medium, but a lot and often. We never had the approach of training super hard. You just get too tired and burn out. While it's important to manage training intensity over the course of a fight camp, avoiding hard conditioning sessions altogether will come at an expense. There's one training method in particular that many fighters have used to great success. High-intensity interval training is a popular and effective method for improving both aerobic and anaerobic fitness. It involves short, intense bursts of exercise followed by short rest periods. This can be particularly beneficial for athletes who participate in sports requiring short, explosive bursts of high-intensity efforts like MMA. Alex Volkanovski, for example, is known to have an explosive fighting style and endless gas tank. And he's a big fan of high-intensity interval training, for example in the form of sprint intervals, circuit training, or shark tanks. He and his team are also very diligent with his training periodization. For example, he performs his last shark tank session exactly 7 days before the fight. It appears that Conor McGregor performs more low-intensity steady-state cardio in the form of running and cycling during his camps. This involves longer periods of exercise at a lower intensity, primarily improving aerobic fitness. In contrast to high-intensity interval training, it does not provide the same benefits for anaerobic fitness and power output. Considering Conor's explosive fighting style and powerful punches, high-intensity interval training would seem like a training essential to improve his stamina and enable him to be more powerful for longer. If Conor indeed didn't incorporate HIIT into his training regime, or maybe he did it occasionally and at random times throughout the camp, he likely missed out on these benefits. McGregor might have also left some gains on the table when it comes to strength and power, based on his interviews. For strength and power, I use a lot of free weights. I use them to build strength and balance at the same time with exercises like single leg deadlifts and pistol squats. It's not about lifting heavy and sparring hard, it's about the body being loose and flexible and having great balance. That's the basis of martial arts. Yes, flexibility and balance are extremely important in combat sports. But while unstable exercises may have some benefits for your balance and coordination, they don't allow you to maximize your strength and power. Unstable training requires you to use less weights to maintain balance. This limits the amount of stress you can place on your muscles. To take this to an extreme, how much do you think you could deadlift while balancing on a tightrope? And there's another huge factor that may have contributed to Conor's poor cardio. He had a run of many early finishes, so his gas tank was never tested. This may have led to a false sense of security about his conditioning and stamina. Maybe he relied too much on his ability to knock out his opponents early. Here's what Conor had to say about his loss to Nate Diaz. I attacked in the first round, really went after him. I blew out my energy and just didn't have anything in the tank. And he also said, "It was wrong to go in so hard expecting to take him in the first round. I overexerted." His interview suggests that Conor focused on movement, balance, and skill development during his camps. He was extremely confident in his skills and may have neglected his strength and conditioning as a consequence. Based on his interviews, it appears that he didn't do much, if any, traditional strength training. For example, low reps, high loads, and long rest periods to maximize strength, or velocity-based strength training for power development. Apparently, he also avoided high-intensity sparring and conditioning sessions. And there's one more huge mistake that many fighters make that means that they are leaving massive gains on the table and they don't even realize. Watch this video next to find out. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments, what do you think about Conor's training approach? And also, which fighter's strength and conditioning routine do you want to see next? I have a few names on my list already, but I'd love to hear your suggestions. As always, train hard, recover smart, and fight easy.